As I'm sure that you've noticed by now, I typically like to have a story behind my reviews. Sadly, I was unable to think up something as great as reading my friend's review, having a run-in with things, or my classic bag of content. So, I'm just gonna be up front and say, welcome to my review of Wario vs. King.
Oh no! Ah!
Oh, hey Wario. I'm kind of recording a thing right now.
Get out of here!
Bro, you just snatched my thumbnail. What gives? Alright, thanks. Say, it's pretty convenient that you literally barged into my setup with no sympathy or regret. I'm actually reviewing your episode in Crossover Colosseum.
Excellent! Good.
We're trying to keep this review from giving away too much about the fight, so please stop spitting spoilers like you're on my YouTube recommended page. This review will be broken down into animation, music, and analysis, so if you want to hear me talk about a specific one, the timestamps are in the description below. Are you ready to shoulder bash like you're a rugby player?
Alright!
Alright, then let's get this party started. The Smash Bracket team must be biased towards Wario or something, because this is, once again, a very high quality animation. It may only be 2.5 minutes long, but I'm a man for quality over quantity. That was definitely proven with Joker vs. Snake. I'm not going to go on a tangent about how this animation was structured like my last review, since that'd be spoilery, so instead I'm going to be saying what I liked and didn't like about the choreography. Both Wario and King Knight's abilities clashed superbly and created some awesome interactions and moments. These were either flashy or funny, which could not fit the two better. If I'm being honest with you, this was just complete chaos. You could never predict what would happen next. I remember I was briefly watching this on a bus, and I laughed out loud or pulled a shocked face uncontrollably. That must have been super awkward for the people around me. There was also no tactical approaches in this animation at all, just two greedy yellow idiots plowing into each other like they're playing frickin' bumper cars. And I love it. I think this animation's biggest strength is perfectly betraying each character. Wario feels nasty and greedy, and King Knight feels regal but also pretty maniacal. And this is coming from someone who hasn't played Shovel Knight at all. My only real complaint is the bike scene near the end went on for a little too long, and it was kinda odd to see him using that instead of just running in like every other instance. Aside from that though, the choreography was excellent. I'm really pleased with how the team put this one together. And as for the animation itself, it looks absolutely amazing. Almost all of the shots are perfect and look as if they fit, while not feeling stiff in their transitions. Now, the sound design in between the shots needs a lot of work, but Ink said that he's working on it, so I highly doubt that this will be an issue when you get to see this for yourselves. To be honest, I think this just about wraps the animation section up. My silly rating for this is a fart out of a waft, and my serious rating is a 9 or 10 out of 10. Absolutely amazing work. I'm sure these viewers will love the animation. And, speaking of loving, I'm not lying when I say that this is the best music that the series has ever seen. Like a couple people, I was worried about the Wario influence, but this sounds like something straight out of Shovel Knight. This track is in the style of 8-bit rock, which is exactly what I expected, and I don't think there was a better option either. The 8-bit part is obvious, Shovel Knight is an indie game, so that makes perfect sense. Not to mention that it fits with the style of the animation, more on that later. I'd say that rock is a little weird for Wario, but it makes sense. I think that the rock sections are inspired by Cannoli from Wario Master of Disguise. Rock in general works with 8-bit, so it feels natural on that front too. This track makes me think of a boss battle, and considering these two's roles in their series, that approach totally makes sense to me. This song is still completely original with no melodies from either series playing, which is honestly surprising to me at first, considering it creates that exact illusion when you listen. Oh, and side note, this is by no means related to either character, but this track reminds me of Miitobia's OST, mainly this section. Many people say that franchise is an amazing OST anyway, so I'm not too surprised that I think so highly of this track. As for the complaints, I have none. Literally zero. That's kind of a first in my reviews, but I genuinely can't find a single bad thing here. It even goes excellently with the animation, picking up when the animation picks up, and the same goes when the music calms down. I'll give this one a Mozart out of a Mozart, also known as a 10 out of 10. I am in love with this track, and I'll continue to listen to it for a long time. I think that it would be best to break this broken down section into two segments, one for Wario's analysis and one for King Knight's analysis. Let's go to Wario's first. I enjoyed Wario's analysis a lot. It had some great jokes and the editing was good too. The EA joke was a little too real, as some have said.
Where he was willing to rush out unfinished games full of bugs just to make a quick buck, which, thank goodness we don't have to deal with that in real life.
Everything was explained really well, including the method in which they calculate stuff using centimeters squared. The pacing was excellent, and at times it felt like you were being taught with passion rather than some guy reading off a script about fictional characters. Come to think of it, Derp thinks that Ink Thinks does that best. Typically, there isn't too much to go over here, so here's a few of my favorite moments from Wario's analysis.
Here we go.
Wario first appeared in Mario Land 2 as a greedy thief set on stealing a castle all for his own. Ambitious, no doubt, but personally, if I was gonna steal a castle from somebody, I wouldn't choose the guy known for beating up dragons and whose idea of a party is a lot more like a Saw movie than anything else. This thing was hitting Wario so hard, it was like you had nearly 5 nuclear power plants, all dedicated to have their full energy output spread across a square centimeter of his body, and then repeat that for every other square centimeter of his body. He can become a spaceman with a laser gun, a pirate with a submarine, or a pharmacist that punches people, called Genius Wario. Alright, and it's this sort of disgusting lovability, along with his amazing ingenuity, that's made Wario such an icon in modern day gaming.
Admittedly, I was only sent half of King Knight's analysis, but that doesn't make it worse. The editing was smooth once again, and Ink was quick but thorough when he explained the lore, which is very interesting, I might add. There was only 1 or 2 jokes in here, but I would happily take that over a better overall explanation. There wasn't a single feat shown in the analysis, leaving me to believe that Wario takes the win easily, though admittedly I could be wrong, and it could be in the second half of the analysis. I think I'd give each an 8 out of 10. If King Knight had a few more jokes, then I think that'd bump it up. Once again, please enjoy a couple of my favourite moments from King Knight's analysis.
This proud, cocky, self-proclaimed king of rats in his faraway land of his mother's basement had a dream. He would look out the window of his childhood home and see the people working the land and the rats running through it and thought, yeah, I could totally be king of this place. King Knight charged forth at his enemies with shoulder bashes, spinning around with parkour and destroying almost everything in his path. After purchasing one, King Knight had to prove himself as being capable of wielding them effectively, by completing a challenge level using nothing but the heirloom. Afterward, King Knight would show off his impressive proficiency for diplomacy, by convincing every one of those NPCs to join his retinue and serve him.
Ah man, I absolutely adore this episode. It's hard to believe that both of Wario's episodes were my top 2 of all time. This episode's music was phenomenal, the animation was awesome, and while the analysis isn't the best that the series has seen, it's far from the worst. Solid stuff, and massive thanks to both Real Evan and Ink Thinks for making this review possible. Here's to a great official release, and, for the moment you all have been waiting for, my final rating for Wario vs. King Knight is 10 out of 10. Hey, thanks for watching guys.